Hello and welcome to the HVAC Financial Freedom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to you, the HVAC business owner, to help you to close more sales, make more profit, and create more freedom in your life. And so I'm excited for today because the guest we have on is someone who can help you do all three. And so it is none other than Ryan Fenn of Chiirp. And I'm going to bring him on for a quick intro and we will hop into some fun topics for the day. So, welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, and maybe just as a fun thing, it was so interesting. Like before we hopped onto the podcast today, I didn't realize that Ryan had visited the Philippines and spoke Tagalog. So
It's actually Cebuano. Cebuano.
Cebuano,
Yeah.
Cebuano,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's amazing. Like, so you were there for a few years, or what was
Yeah, I
it?
was there for 2 years. Yeah. In
Okay,
2001 to 2003. Yep. Yep.
wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. And,
Um, And also, Ryan, you're the CEO of Chirp. And
yeah.
for those of you who are not familiar, the way that I understand it, it's a sales and marketing platform that helps people to close more deals through follow-ups, through text messages, ringless voicemails, and other things. But I know you're the best person to speak to it, so would love to hear your perspective on Chirp.
Yeah, for sure. So I developed Chirp over the last 4 years. We've been developing Chirp. We went live about 3 years ago with a product that was ready to go. But yeah, the idea behind Chirp came from the success I was having from my other business, and which we can go into that when you're ready for that story. But the idea behind Chirp is to help you communicate better with leads. So on the front end, you can convert more of those leads into customers using automation, and then turn more of those customers into fans that will buy from you over and over again, year after year. And the idea is to not eliminate human beings from the process, but to turn your human beings into superheroes that can accomplish a lot more in the day, close more deals, have more communication, have more conversations, and use leverage technology to take your HVAC company or your home service company into the digital era where you're taking the principles that a lot of people have used to make money online or through digital marketing efforts, take those principles and apply them to your home service business to become a lot more effective and make a lot more money. So
That's awesome, and I'd say that one thing that I love is that you have such a close focus on the home services industry. I know that there's a lot of other platforms out there where it's just kind of like all these types of industries, but you guys really have an intimate understanding of like what are the things that are working for
yeah,
contractors today.
yeah, that's a really big differentiator, probably our number one differentiator from many of the other platforms or automation things out there. Um, I'm not like your typical venture-backed Silicon Valley CEO that raised millions of dollars to build a platform and then decided, hey, let's sell it to this group or this group or this group. I come from a local business and was able to be successful within that and found ways to use automation to make my business work, and that's really where this came from. So my first business was windshield repair. We my brother and I would post up at like gas stations and stuff, and as people would come in, we'd wash their windshields. If they had a chip in the windshield, we'd offer to fix it for them right on the spot, and that model was really good for us. We made a lot of money, and we ended up getting to a point where we had nine or 10 locations running, and technicians working for us, and we were making more money than we ever had in our lives, and it was really cool. And I knew I wanted to scale big. I wanted to go, if not national, global, kind of thing. And so I started to put together a training course, how to start your own windshield repair business, and started putting together like ads on Facebook, and people would fill out a form, and I would call them and say, hey, let's get on the phone and talk about how this can change your life. And I found in that process that if I just texted the lead first, I had a much higher conversion rate. If the lead submitted their information, I would text them. This is 2015, somewhere there. I'd text them, say, hey, thanks for checking us out. Here's a link to a video. Check this out. Then I started automating that, and pretty soon we were getting like 300 leads a day coming in, and texts were automatically going out to them. They would watch a video, they would book a call, we'd close deals, and we helped thousands of people start their own business. And that's where the idea came to build Chiirp. So they said, hey, if this works for me, it'll probably work for other businesses. And so we started building Chiirp, and quickly started to see that it was really effective as some like carpet cleaners got involved, some other home service type businesses, pest control companies, some HVAC companies got on board. And we started to see, number one, that industry, the home service industry, was largely underserved in automation. There were automation platforms out there, but they weren't specifically focused on home service. So you had to kind of like take your ideas, take a platform that wasn't specifically built for you, and kind of try to make it work
Yeah.
on those platforms. And so we doubled down and said, let's focus 100% of our efforts on home service. Let's focus on being the deepest integrations into the existing CRMs, Service Titan, House Call Pro, Jobber. We've got Sarah coming up, Service Monster, all the existing CRMs. We didn't want to compete with them. We wanted to enhance their products. And so we became the deepest integrations into those to take these principles that I had learned in that other business to be able to hand it to an HVAC company and say, here is all of the campaigns that are working right now, pre-built. We can connect them right in, and you're ready to go right away. So that's the big differentiator that's really taken us really far in the industry.
That's amazing. And I think it really gives you a peek behind the curtain in a way where it's like what actually is working right now. Like what are the best practices that a company can implement? What is the timing of that? And how do you just turn the front end of your business into a revenue generating machine? And so currently right now, just I think maybe a lot of listeners will experience this where the weather in the United States is a little bit warmer than it's supposed to be or than expected, and things are a little bit slower than people would like them to be. So, what are you seeing on your end? What is your perspective on it? I know some people are like, I'm crushing it, but some people, general trend I've noticed is that things are down. Like, what's your perspective from what you're seeing with Chirp and other things?
Well, so the people that are like technology forward, that are really trying to be cutting edge, are crushing it right now. Um, there are two things that I can really speak to that. Number one, people who are really focused on selling memberships and really focused on the automation process of selling memberships is huge. Memberships keep you from having to wake up and start over every single day in your business. And that's a huge part of business that people are missing. When they get in, they think, okay, it's all about sales, 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 sales. And of course it is at the beginning, but we should be turning customers into lifetime customers. That should be a huge part, because it's expensive to get a customer.
Hmm.
It's much less expensive to keep a customer if you do it right. And a membership is a really powerful way to keep a customer, because they paid for the membership. They're not going to go. They're never going to go back to Google and search again for another company. They're just going to reach out to their guy. And so memberships is huge. We helped a company over the last 12 months. He went from 100 memberships to 800 memberships. He sold 700 memberships
My
the
gosh.
last 12 months through Chiirp, through automation. We'll talk kind of how we do that. And then the other way that people are really experiencing success through automation is leveraging their existing database. A lot of people are hiring like call centers, and they're saying, hey, reach out to my people, which to me is kind of insane, because you paid a bunch of money to get this customer, and now you're paying to get them back. You're paying a call center to get them back, which is, to each their own. But in my opinion, if you have them as a customer, you've already established that relationship, you can leverage automation to reach out to them and book jobs. We have Dustin Miller, who's he's a $10 million HVAC company out of California. He's a $10 million HVAC company in 150,000 people in a rural area, a
Wow.
rural lower income area. And he's crushing it because he's very much focused on maintaining his customer database. And so one of the ways that since he started with Chiirp 3 years ago, he hasn't had open slots in his shoulder season because he has a very simple sequence. He has a voicemail and 2 follow-up text messages that he sends out to past customers. If he looks at his schedule and he sees that there's some open slots coming up, he'll use this campaign. He'll send it out to like 50 people or 100 people. And it's a super simple campaign that's just like, hey, thank you so much for being a customer. It's that time of year again. We have 50 slots right now for $49 tune-up. Let's get you on the books.
Mm.
And he sends out that voicemail. 15 minutes later, an automatic text message goes out that just says, just following up on that voicemail I left you. Let me know if you have any questions. And then a day later, one last follow-up message. And he has not had open slots in the last 3 years because of just that simple campaign. So I would say memberships are huge. It should be something you should be heavily focused on. And then leveraging your existing database, and not necessarily, I mean, obviously you always have to be building your database. You have to be building and getting more customers. But if you are not heavily focused on keeping those customers for life, you're just gonna wake up and start over every single day, and you're never gonna have an asset, really.
Wow, that's amazing, and I think the key word there is, I mean, what you're saying is like it's like leverage. It's not just like a one-time sale. It's like how do we get people into this recurring membership model, and then with the database. I was actually talking to another friend focused on email marketing for HVAC contractors just a moment ago, and that
Yeah,
was that was the biggest problem. It's like people will do ads or they'll do SEO or they'll do whatever, but then they just forget to take care of their current customers, right? There's just let's just get new versus how about let's take care of the people we got already.
yeah, yeah,
um and also what you said, it kind of like breaks a belief where it has to be, I have to be in this major metropolitan area. Dustin is crushing it, and it's like this small area and he's doing 10 million, so
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah. We had the Dwyer brothers, Ed and Pat Dwyer out of New Jersey. October of this last year, historically, is their slowest month. It was their busiest month of the year because they leveraged their existing database. So they made more money in October than they had any month of the year, and it's historically their slowest year. So shoulder season should not be an excuse to not make a lot of money.
Mm,
It's just a matter. You just have to take a different approach because the people that are reactive is people are reactive to, oh, my air conditioner's out, or my furnace is out. That happens in the non-shoulder season, right? And that's where a lot of HVAC companies historically make a lot of money. But during the shoulder season, there are a lot of people who aren't going to be reactive, but are willing to do work because they're wanting to maintain. I just had my furnace maintained, and right now historically is the shoulder season, just because
yeah.
if you communicate enough to the client to where you get to where they start to consider their system and they're not just reacting, they will then do business in the shoulder season because they're thinking, I want to be ahead of it. But if you're not top of mind, if your brand is not in front of them, they won't think to do it.
Wow, got it. Um And from there, I kind of see like two jumping off points. Number one, there's something about mindset of proactive versus reactive that I was wondering if you could speak to, because there's definitely traits that successful business owners have that are like allowing them to be successful. And then second, it sounds like there's an actual like tactical technical component, of actually setting some of these things up. Maybe we could talk initially about just mindset and some of those other common trends that you notice that would help someone during this quote unquote slow season for them.
Yeah.
And then we can talk more like how do we actually put some of this together so that we can begin seeing more sales come in the door.
So mindset's huge, right? Because you know, and it's kind of a natural, what's the word? I don't, we're we're working against something that's unnatural. And what I mean by that
Mm,
is entrepreneurs are generally exciting, and they're alpha a lot of times. They thrive on wins, and they thrive on having this big mindset, and that fights against some of the things in business that are tend to just be boring, right? What
mm.
I'm saying is the point I'm making here is we like to be where the action is, right?
Uh-huh.
And so we like to be where the action is, and we thrive on that, on those wins. And during slow times, it's boring. And so our mindset, it doesn't work well with our mindset, because we're just going, we got to do the mundane, boring things. Sometimes just business is business. You just have to do the boring things to
Mhm.
keep your business going. And they end up not being boring, because you end up creating wins. But it's something that you just have to kind of think about, and go, you know what? This is the time that they talk about in entrepreneurship, where you just kind of put your head down and do the work. And so you have to pull yourself away from the excitement of the on season, right? And okay, now it's
Yeah.
shoulder season. Let's put the work in and make sure that we're generating kind of that top of funnel excitement, or that top of funnel processes, so that our pipe continues to stay full. But in the shoulder season, and what's cool about having automation is we can move people through the funnel much quicker now than you could, before, when you putting up a TV ad or a billboard, and you're kind of just creating awareness and all this stuff. As we get, tighter and tighter with digital, we can connect faster. We can get to the point faster. We can move them through that funnel quicker, and we can reach out to them and say, hey, like with the Dustin Miller campaign, hey, it's that time again. And now it's like they're thinking, what's cool with this is like the owner is saying it in the voicemail, hey, it's Dustin. I just want to let you know. And that like drives the brand really deep, because it's the owner saying, hey, it's Dustin. And they're like, cool, I know the owner. Like, I'm friends with the owner. I've got like, and so that really pushes them through the funnel much faster, and allows you to get them to book much quicker using that automation. So
Wow. Love that. And for maybe anyone who's not familiar with automation, for example, let's say we have this company currently, they're operating, pen and paper, and they're operating off of their personal cell phones, and they're applying to customers and all those things. Like how is what you're talking about going to be a complete like just a complete
yeah.
change from that? Like how, like it sounds like there's all this stuff and all this technology. Like how is that all different than like
Yeah. So we built Chirp to be, a tool. So think of it as an automation toolbox of 100 different things that you could do. So you can be sitting there with this toolbox, and it can be doing a lot of things. And we'll talk about some other things, but this specifically, what people are doing is they have their CSRs call, and they say, hey, it's slow. CSRs, get on the phone, call past customers, try to get them to book. Okay. So CSR can sit there and they can dial, right? They can dial through the day and try to get people to book. And you're going to pay that CSR an hourly wage or whatever it is you pay them. And they're going to, and it's going to cost you X dollars to get that CSR to make phone calls. Whether or not they get bookings, you're going to be paying for that, right? With automation, we can say, all right, let's send out 100 text messages, or 100 voicemails, or 300 text messages, 300 voicemails. And instead of the CSR sitting there for 8 hours calling, let's let automation do all that initial work. And then as those customers respond, the CSR can then close deals. So that text message or voicemail can go out and say, hey, hey, it's time. It's that time of year again to get service. What works better for you, AM or PM? They respond back AM. Now the CSR is spending their time saying, okay, great. How about tomorrow at 2? Perfect. Or, AM would be tomorrow at 10. And they say, that works for me. And they book it. And now they're on to the next. And now you're getting much more out of a CSR in that same 8 hours than if you sit there and let them call through and try to, because they could probably, I don't know how many dials you can make, but it's really hard to get a CSR excited to make phone calls. It's like one of the big, it's like, why force them to do something that they just really don't want to do? And so with that automation, like I said earlier, you're turning them into superhumans that can get a
Mhm.
lot more done in a day.
Got it. So it's like instead of me like texting 100 people or calling 100 people, this platform or a platform could just automatically send it out to all those people. And the people that are interested, now the CSR can say, oh, these are the opportunities. Let me talk to them
Yes.
versus let me just filter the list manually. There's a smarter way to do things than to
Yeah.
just
We say
manually
let humans do what they're good at and let automation do what it's good at. And if you're using a human to do things that a robot can do, you're inefficient. And so again, it doesn't eliminate the job of the CSR, it makes them much more efficient.
It's amazing. Maybe we could talk about what are some campaigns that someone could run during this time. I know we talked about first, the tune-ups. I think that was one campaign you mentioned, maybe like sending out to 50 to 100 people. We got this offer, $49 special. It's going out to these 50, 100 people. Are
Yep.
there other types of campaigns that you've seen work that could be good for someone to try to test or to implement during this time?
Yes. Let's kind of go through the customer journey and kind of just show at the different points of the customer journey where you can really utilize technology to increase. So on the front end, on lead conversion, we want to make sure during slow times that every lead that comes in gets maximum treatment, right? Because if leads are slow, you don't want to miss an opportunity. So number one, you want to make sure you're communicating very quickly with leads. So the amount of time it takes you to contact a lead should be extremely low. And this can be hard, especially if leads are slow and you're out doing different things. You want to make sure you have automation in place that contacts a lead very quickly. So we call it speed to lead campaign, where if somebody, let's say somebody fills out a form on Facebook or on your website or an Angie lead or whatever it is, they're filling out a form. We got to make sure that we contact that lead within 1 minute of them submitting their information if we want to have maximum conversion. So with automation, we can do that. Somebody fills out an Angie lead, a text message can automatically go out to the customer that says, thank you for requesting a quote. We start with like a really basic question. What city is your home in? Or how many stories is your home? How many bedrooms are in your home? Something that just really softly opens the conversation with the lead instead of saying something like, we'd like to get you on the schedule for tomorrow. You don't want to be aggressive right out of the gate. This is a brand new lead. You just want to start the conversation. Once they respond, the CSR can then take the conversation and close the deal. Another huge part that people are really missing out on is estimate follow-ups that are automated. And this is where our integration into like Service Titan, House Call Pro, or whatever comes into place. When an estimate goes out, companies are not consistently following up to close those deals. They're calling once, maybe twice, and then they kind of go, well, if he wants it, he'll call me back. And there are the aggressive sales guys that are going to do much better than that, but it's difficult to follow up consistently with your estimates. So this can be triggered automatically that if the estimate does not close, that text messages, emails, and voicemails will continue to follow up with that lead for a period of time to maximize conversion. Another one that's really key is the membership booster campaign that we talk about. This is probably the simplest campaign, but can be very potent. There's a point where you want this campaign to happen, and this is another important part of our integration into Service Titan. Same with the others, but the idea here is sales framing. Okay, if you've heard that term before, we want to make sure that we are framing the conversation so that we create an environment to be able to close a membership. Okay, most people, they're having their technicians sell the memberships. If we can give the technician just a little boost, this can really help. So at Technician Dispatched, that's one of the events within your CRM, the system will recognize if the person is a member or a non-member, if they already have a membership or not. If they do not have a membership, it will trigger the campaign, the membership booster campaign, which will send a text message to the homeowner. And it will say, Hey John, it's Alyssa here at Wasatch Heating and Air. Just want to let you know your technician is on the way. By the way, if you'd like to save a little bit of money on this visit, be sure to ask him about our membership program.
Mm.
That simple text message then frames the conversation so that the customer is asking, "Hey, how can I save money?" And now the technician can go, "Oh, cool. Let me tell you about our membership program." And he's in a position now, instead of awkwardly bringing it up when he arrives and saying, "Hey, I'd like to tell you about our membership program." They haven't had a chance to at all, think about this. It's brand new. Again, that goes back to the funnel, right? We're pushing them through. We want to
Mm.
start them out, get the conversation going in their head. So they're thinking, okay, how can I save some money? Boom. Let me tell you about the membership program. They're in a better, the conversation is framed for close. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's like planting a seed, and then
Yep.
initially they're like, "Oh, I'm thinking about that," and by the time they get there, it's bloomed, and it's like, "Oh,
Yes.
I need to save
Exactly.
money."
Yep. Yep. Exactly. You're not starting from zero, right? So,
That's amazing.
so those are some really good campaigns. And then post job is extremely important. This is a little more long term. Obviously, we want to make sure that we ask for the review to get maximize our reviews, which are obviously really important. And then now we've gained a customer. Now we want to put them into an annual schedule that will maintain that customer, keep them warm throughout the year. No pun intended on that. It's just we're keeping them warm, in a sales sense. But here we go. All right, let's send out quarterly filter change reminders. Text message just goes out every quarter. Hey, it's been 3 months since your last filter change. Time to change your filter.
Mm.
Little, maybe a picture of your brand. All these little things, these little touch points throughout the year. Maybe a spring and fall email that's like a longer email that explains, hey, it's spring. Here are some better ways that you can, maintain your system. Here's some tips and tricks, that kind of stuff. And so throughout the year, we're not trying to sell them. It's not the purpose of this campaign. It's to keep our brand top of mind, so that when that 12-month text message goes out, hey, it's been 12 months since we last, worked on your furnace. It's time to get back on the schedule. What works better for you, AM or PM? It's just a natural flow right into booking. They're not gonna. It's like, this is my guy. I'm not looking for somebody else. Let's
Yeah.
get booked and do it again. And then you'd want like a 6-month, like AC tune-up, right? If they're on a membership program, it's like, okay, 6 months, it's winter time maybe for the furnace or whatever it is for the furnace, and 6 months later for the AC. And now you're alternating, and these campaigns are triggering at the right moments.
Wow. What are your thoughts on, like, are those campaigns like something you have to regularly update? So once you have them in place, like, are you just saying the same things every single year, or you're like updating the copy like on a quarterly or annual basis, or how does
It's cer-
the
yeah, it's certainly something you can do. Obviously, filter change reminders don't really need to be changed. That kind of stuff. You could put them into a schedule for the year. You could create the entire campaign for that year, and then if you wanted to the next year revisit that and change it up, you could definitely do that. What's cool is we're utilizing AI, which makes this all super easy. And people, freak out and they go, "Oh, AI is taking over the world." And just so everybody knows, that's just to get headlines.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, AI is not in your lifetime. Well, I don't know the future, but
Terminator comes
yeah,
around,
it's
everybody's blasting
yeah,
people.
yeah. Don't be afraid of it. It's really cool and it's free. So you can go on there and say, I mean, literally, you can go on to Chat GPT, this free tool, and say, write me an email that tells my customers why it's important to maintain their HVAC system in the spring or in the fall, or whatever. And it will write a very well worded email that you can grab and then create these campaigns very easily. We have a bunch already pre-made, but you can edit them, you can change them, do whatever you want. But super easy to do. And once that is triggered in your CRM, once you say job complete, the system times out all those messages for the whole year. And now you don't have to think about it. They're going to get followed up with for the whole year. And if one of those filter change reminders goes out, sometimes it turns into a sales opportunity, and the person responds that, hey, my furnace, is acting funny. It wasn't a sale. You didn't try to sell them, but they just go, hey, it's been making a sound. Cool. Let's get you on the books. We'll come out and take a look, so.
That's amazing. That's a ninja hack right there. Yeah, use Chat GPT, rewrite things, keep it fresh.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And you'll be blown away. Like, put those prompts in there, and it will write stuff that you'll go, oh, wow, that's better than I could have ever come up with.
No, same. Like, man, you're about that's it.
I wouldn't use it for like SEO and stuff because that's the big talk is like, it's not going to work for SEO, but sending an email or a text and having to help you write that stuff is totally fine.
Yeah, 100%. Being from the SEO side, it's tokens, things can be identified. So 100% agreed on that one.
Yep.
How about for review best practices? Because I've spoken to a number of customers. They have an automation in place, but they still feel like they're not getting enough reviews. Are there other things that you could think of that would help assist generate more of those reviews for them? Or
yeah, absolutely. So reviews are key, and there's a lot of platforms out there, and I'll kind of talk about why I think our process is better. So we talk about relationship building automation. So we started the conversation at the beginning. Let's go through the customer journey again. Let's say it's an Angie lead, and we start a conversation with them the moment that they submitted their information. And then we communicated with them perfectly, right? We followed up with them. The estimate went out, and they didn't close. We followed up with them on the estimate, and they close, right? And they book a call, and we send out a conversational appointment reminder that's very personal. Thank you so much for booking with us, and we've really built this momentum with this customer and created a relationship with them. They've been like, man, these people have communicated with me perfectly all the way through. And then at the end of the job, they get a text message from a random phone number, completely different, that says, thank you so much for doing business with Wasatch Heating and Air. Please click here to leave a review. That's weird, right? Because now you've communicated with them all the way through to the end, and then they're getting a random phone number from a random text message from a random phone number, and they're going, why aren't these converting into reviews? If you send that text message from the same phone number you've communicated with all the way through, and you've built a relationship, and now you ask as a friend, right? Because now you're saying, thank you. Hey, man, I appreciate you doing business with me today. Thank you so much. We're so happy you had a good experience, or whatever you want to say. We hope you had a really good experience. It would really help us if you leave us a review here. Now there's two elements to it, right? The text message was awesome because that gets the highest read rate, 98% read rate, but it's from a friend that they've created that you've created, right? And so you've established this relationship with them through this whole time. And instead of throwing that away by sending them a random text message from a random phone number, you do it all through the same thread.
Wow.
And then they go, oh, okay, yeah, and then if they don't, you have a couple of follow-ups a day later. Hey, I know things are crazy. I know you're busy, but it would be really appreciated if you were able to leave us a review here. And those couple extra follow-ups will increase. We had a guy get, I think, 700 reviews last year through that process. And then when we reach out again in 3 months, it's all on that same thread. They can scroll back through and see the whole thread and the communication. And now, ideally they'll save their number in their phone, and it's their HVAC guy, and it's just now you have a relationship. And so I say this a lot because one of the problems that businesses have is as they scale and get bigger, they lose the magic of being a small family-run business.
Yes.
Because you know how it is. Like if you're small and you have a base of customers, they're there because they love you, not because they love your product or service. They love you as an owner. And it's really hard to maintain that as you scale. If you do this will help you mitigate that as you scale and maintain a down home feel. Like I said, Dustin Miller sends out that voicemail. Hey, it's Dustin. So glad, you see how it's like, oh, Dustin just called me. It's creating that relationship that's going to last at scale.
That's amazing. I love that. And you are right. Yeah, as companies grow, now they're building out these massive sales teams and this building. And that's you lose that personal touch, and
Mhm.
it feels more transactional versus relational.
Yep.
And it sounds like automation tools are just a great way to scale building relationships while also still having people just cutting out the stuff that you know is manual, just like manually typing things out.
Yep. Exactly.
Love
So
that.
yeah, that's the magic of it. It's like, man, relationship building on autopilot.
Mm. And here's a just like combining one of the ideas you said earlier. Could it have you seen this done before where prior to pre-job, like when the technician has been dispatched, having a text message that maybe hints at a review, like would that be something like
Yeah.
planting
Oh
the
yeah.
seed?
Oh yeah. Part of yeah. So I would probably put this in the appointment. We have what we call conversational appointment reminder campaigns.
Mm,
Um, when somebody books, a really cool thing is to send out a text message that is a personalized message with an image of your technician. And some people even send a link to a video of the owner thanking them for booking and then
mm.
kind of preconditioning them for a review. So you
Oh
can do that
wow.
in the text or you could do it in a video. So think of it like this. The person books and they immediately get a text message that says, hey, hey John, thank you so much for booking with us. We're really looking forward to giving you 5-star service. Uh, watch this quick video uh, that this is a customer expectation video. So what the words is like, watch this quick video so you can know what to expect on our visit.
Wow.
They could click that link and it can be the owner. It can be just a selfie video of the owner saying, "Hey, it's John, owner of Wasatch Cleaning, Heating and Air. Just wanted to say I really appreciate your business. We're really looking forward to providing you with 5-star service. I'm here to answer any questions you have. It's very important to me that at the end of this job, you feel like we've earned your business and that we've earned a 5-star review from you. Looking forward to if you have any questions, we're here to help you out." And then you have a couple of appointment reminders leading up to the appointment, and then your technician dispatch membership booster campaign goes, and then so it's that whole process there. So you're conditioning them to leave a review at the end as well. So good point.
Beautiful. Wow. That's you guys thought everything.
We
That's
try. We try.
That's amazing. I'm trying to think anything else around automation follow-ups that would be key for people to know or remember. Other best practices you can think of.
Yeah, some other cool thing, just like some other cool things that really can make you stand out. The the filters that we have are deep, really, really deep. So, like in Service Titan, I can say at job complete, if it's got this job type or this business unit or these technicians, these tags, do this campaign. But if it's this, do this, and I can have different follow ups for different things. So I'll talk about why that's important. So let's say let's start at the estimate. Let's say you have a high ticket estimate and a low ticket estimate. Go out. I want to follow up differently on my bigger opportunities than I do on my smaller opportunities. And
Mm,
so I'm going to have a different campaign for those different opportunities. And that's a big differentiator for Chiirp is we can recognize those different opportunities and apply the correct campaign at the correct time to follow up more consistently. The other cool thing, and this just gets kind of where it gets fun, is I can say at job complete, if the invoice is $5,000 or more, send a gift basket, automatically send a gift basket with my logo and my,
wow.
send cookies and a thank you card. Or if somebody leaves me a 5-star review, send them a handwritten thank you note or a Starbucks gift card, or there's all different things that I can automate based on those filters. Chirp is not just text message, email, and voicemail. It's a system that can recognize what's going on in Service Titan, can tell Chirp can internally send text messages, emails, and voicemails, but it can also tell other systems to do other things like send out a gift basket or a DocuSign or whatever we need at this certain point. So it's not just about text message, email, and voicemail. It's about recognizing what's going on in your business and then triggering things to happen automatically. so that you don't have to think, oh, let's send out gift baskets to everybody. It's like that just automatically happens. So there's millions of different like ideas you could come up with. There's missed call campaigns. Somebody, you miss a call, let's send a text message immediately. It says, so sorry I missed your call, I'll call you back in just a minute. That alone can keep somebody from clicking on the next guy. They'll go, okay, I'll wait for him to call me back. Or an after hours campaign. They call in, you don't answer, text message goes out, so sorry we missed your call, it's after hours. If this is an emergency, call this phone number. You might have a different phone number, or you could say, is this an emergency? They say yes, then you could alert somebody to call. We have internal Slack notifications you could send out, or other notifications to your team. Hey, there's a lead that came in that's an emergency, give them a call, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So you could talk for days about the different things you could come up with.
That's amazing. And when we do have, I know you mentioned direct mail. We do have Dave from Dope Marketing coming on in a few weeks. So,
very cool. Yeah.
yeah,
He's great. We have a deep integration with Dope Marketing. So, that brings up a good point. You say, all right, if I book a high ticket opportunity in this neighborhood, send 50 postcards to all of the neighbors automatically. And it will pull the data and it'll send the postcard to 50 different people. And that's good, because if it's a neighborhood, let's say it's a tract home neighborhood, right? If somebody's furnace goes out, like maybe it's 7 years, those houses were all probably built in the same time.
Yes.
And so if somebody's furnace goes out, there's a pretty good chance that one of the 50 neighbors is having problems as well, or multiple. And so a postcard can go to all 50 neighbors or 100 neighbors, whatever you want to do, and say, hey, we're taking care of your neighbor here. Just want to make sure you're aware. By the way, we're doing this, special for anybody. So that could be automated as well through the system, through ServiceTitan and Chiirp, and then that tells Dope what to do. So
that's amazing. Wow, that's really crazy. Love
yep,
that.
we hear that a lot.
Cool. So we got the lead follow-up process. We got some best practices, some tips. And so, yeah, if you're listening in, I'd say that, there's a lot. I just focus on maybe developing just your first campaign, find the lowest hanging fruit. Whether that's the review campaign, or, whether it's just even just getting an automation tool like Chiirp, I think that would be a great place to start.
Yeah, to speak to that, you may be listening to this going, oh, yeah, that sounds great, but that's way too much work. We always recommend get right there. Perfect. Start with 2 or 3 holes in your business. Where could I be better? I could be better on my estimate follow-ups. I could be better on my review requests. Start there. You can add layers of automation over time. And what we do here at Chiirp, just so everybody's aware, a little plug for Chiirp, we are not, like I said, your typical Silicon Valley, here's your software, good luck kind of company. We are boutique. We're more of a one-to-one. And so when you work with us, we have all these pre-built campaigns that we can automatically build right into your system. Yes. But you can come to us and say, hey, I have this idea for this campaign. We'll build it with you and have it up and running for you.
Wow, that's amazing. A white glove support. That's really,
that's right.
Amazing. Yep. Put that down. Cool. And so I guess with that, I did want to transition into some mindset stuff, because you started your own business in the past, and you parlayed that into more of like an educational model. Then you learned more from that. You started Chiirp. And so I feel like you, of all people, have a really good understanding of the different stages of growth in the business, and also specifically for home service, right? There's different levels as someone is leveling up. Like getting to that first million seems like that hurdle, and then getting to the next million, or the 3, and then up after that. And so I wonder if you could speak to that, because at least even for myself, I noticed that when I reach a certain level, there's like something I have to shift with my identity to stay at that level. Otherwise, I drop back down again. So could you speak to identity, as well as, I don't know, that self-development that you need as you're growing companies?
Yes, absolutely. So this kind of takes me back to this when I was 16. I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. I've always wanted to own a business. One of my dad's best friends growing up was he's a just mega wealthy 9-figure guy. And I was able to just see what's possible. He came from zero and has built a $4 billion company. And so I was able to, at a young age, see what's possible and kind of just like always have that in my head that that's a possibility and that I wanted to accomplish something like that.
Mhm.
And so when I was 16, there was this guy that he was in our church. He made these chocolate chip cookies that were just like intensely good, like the best chocolate chip cookies you ever had. And everybody's like, "Oh, you got to start a business. You got to sell these. You got to sell these. You got to sell these." And finally, he was like, "Yeah, everybody says they want my cookies. I'm going to start a cookie business." So he rents this spot in town and he starts painting it. He called it the Crate. I feel kind of bad if he was ever to see this, but it was a terrible, terrible idea. Not the cookies, but the way that he did it. And he painted the building to look like a crate, like a shipping crate.
Mhm.
Had like an arrow, like this side up, and like parcel, and this. And it looked like an old timey like Indiana Jones crate, that would be on like a ship or something. And he started selling cookies, and I remember ordering some from him. I called him up and I said, "Hey, we want some cookies." And we lived in a mountain area, like a mountain town, so houses were pretty far apart, and like you could drive 20-30 minutes to get to a house. And we were like 16, we had like $10, and we ordered $10 worth of cookies, and it was like 6 cookies and free delivery. And so he delivers these cookies, and it took him a half an hour to do it, and he made $10 minus the cost of his cookies and his gas
Yeah.
and everything. And I remember being young and going, that's not going to work. Like I remember going, that's just not going to work. And
Mhm.
the idea, and this is a kind of a drawn out story here, but the point is, a lot of people think that just because they're good at the product or service they're offering, that they're good at running a business. And
Mhm.
that's a huge mistake to make. If you may be really, really good at HVAC, but if you are not focusing on being a good business owner, you're going to you're going to cap out. Usually that's at around $1 million a year in revenue, which is typically enough to survive as an owner. But to scale beyond that is very difficult because you are relying on you being a really good HVAC guy and not a good business owner that can scale a business. And so I would say at the very beginning, of course, you have to be a good HVAC guy, but it's not enough. You need to know that this is a business, just like the cookies were a business. There are companies now that are massive cookie companies doing very well. Their cookies aren't even as good as that guy's cookies.
Yeah.
But the point is that they're better at business than he was. And so you need to have the mindset of always learning new business strategies, how to run a business. You can't focus 100% of your attention on being a really good HVAC guy. You should be proficient and professional and good at HVAC, but you also need to be a really good business guy. So I would say if you're in that position, and know this, unless you are Apple, you can learn something.
Right.
Don't ever think that, oh, I've scaled, I know everything, I'm the best. Your mindset should be, until I'm the size of Apple, I know nothing, and I should be learning more and more and more. And that's where like podcasts come into play. You should be listening to podcasts. There's a lot of really good books. And one of the things with mindset that has helped me hugely, I read a book recently that really kind of put my thoughts in order of how I felt about this, but I would recommend a book called The Gap and the Gain.
Mhm.
This talks greatly about the curse of, oh, if I get to this level, I'm going to be happy. If I get to this level, I'll be happy. If I start making $3 million in the business, I'll be happy. If I get to 5 million, I'll be happy. You're never going to be happy if that's your mentality. You'll continue to scale and you'll always fall short of the freedom and happiness you're looking for. That's called the gap thinking. The
Wow.
gain thinking is thinking backwards and saying, look how far I've come. I've I can't, if I could just tell myself a year ago that I would be here, he would be a very excited person, you know,
Yes.
and so on. And so focusing and prioritizing your happiness is key, and not always being so hard on yourself that you have to get to the next level. Being grateful and showing that, you know, for where you're at, not relying on some future date that will make you happy. So,
Love that. And I had a mentor talk to me about a similar idea. It's called a identity lag, and it's this idea that our current self identity is about 2 to 3 years behind of like what we've actually accomplished. And so your competence is here, but your confidence is like down here.
yes.
And he talks about like we need to align these so that your actual competence matches your confidence. And so a big part of that is gratitude, remembering the things you've accomplished, the things you've done, and like sometimes just patting yourself on the back, say, "Hey, I'm actually kind of a badass. I actually did all these great things. Like I'm
Yeah.
not the version of myself 3 to 5 years ago. Like
Yeah.
I'm completely different."
Don't be so hard on yourself. Like,
Right.
take the wins and say, "Cool, this is cool." And again, like, if you need those things to be happy, that's you should automatically say, "Okay, something's wrong." If you need them, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make $100 million. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be very successful. It's whether or not you need it to be happy that's the
Mm,
problem. And so if you need it, you need to reevaluate. But there's nothing wrong with wanting, being heavily driven, heavily motivated, really, really, out there to really crush it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just it shouldn't be what makes or breaks your happiness.
man, I love that. Yeah, I mean, pumped up. I'm about to run through a brick wall or something. Well, awesome. We're coming up on the hour, so I guess one of my last questions would be, what's next for Chirp? Because there's a lot of exciting things happening with the integrations you guys are building. You guys are out there. Um, what can we expect to see over the next 1 to 2 years? Like, what's the roadmap look like?
Yeah, so we are constantly enhancing our ability to trigger different things from different points within the CRM. So we're always looking for ways to say, if this happens in the CRM, do this. So there's more and more trigger opportunities coming up. We always want to be able to come up with more ways to trigger campaigns. We are as much as this sounds like we're working backwards. We always built the system knowing that text message and voicemail was like a huge part of it, and email was cool but not as necessary. We want email to still have its place, and so we're going to be enhancing the email capabilities. We've worked hard to bring all of communication into one place, so in one spot we have text message, email, voicemail, Facebook Messenger, Google Messages, all within one place, so the CSRs spend their time in one spot. So that's pretty cool. We have integrations with various payment platforms coming out so that you can trigger automated follow ups for collections. You can trigger automatic links to go out for payments, at job complete, or if you need to on the fly create a text message that goes to the customer with a certain, like, a manual amount that they need to pay. You'll be able to do payments. Lots of cool stuff like that. I'm trying to think of what other integrations we have. Sarah, the company Sarah, will be the first when they actually do open up that side. The integration will be the first to integrate and have
Wow.
these functionalities available with Sarah. So that's some of the stuff on the board for the next 12 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
And really like living true to the deepest damn integrations that you could possibly get.
that's right. That's right. Yep. Yep.
Awesome. So I think we'll close out. Any last parting words of advice you'd like to share with everyone before we wrap up for the day?
You got in a business to create freedom and happiness for yourself. Allow that to happen. Like, don't kill yourself. There's nothing. This is meant to be. As an entrepreneur, you should be looking for that freedom, and it eludes us. So allow it to happen.
Wow, it to happen. Yeah, I need that advice too. So thank you, Ryan. So I appreciate it. Thank you for being on. I hope everyone got some great value out of this. Also, if you are looking for an automation platform, definitely go to Chirp. I think one of the special things you guys have is the fact that you have someone that can help create the automations and help advise and have the intelligence of seeing other companies and what works. And so, really, it's a really standout thing for myself. So,
Yeah, just to end on that, our Facebook group is all entrepreneurs, all owners that are there talking about automation. It's a great place to be, a great community.
awesome. Well, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, we will catch you on the next episode. All right,
Thank
take care,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, John. See you.